Hey guys, welcome back to Joy Serendipity. It is your girl Joy. Um, what's up? What's been going on? I hope you guys have been enjoying my videos. I'm really trying to get into my craft. So yeah, if you are new here, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joy, and this is my space where we have real conversations about real life, relationships, healing, self-worth, and becoming the woman that you are meant to be, starting with fashion, everything. So today we're talking about something that a lot of people quietly struggle with but don't always know how to articulate, and it's the question of why do we keep attracting the same type of toxic relationship over and over again. It's like we're meeting the same person in a different body, different phase, different personality, different story, but somehow they have the same emotional pattern. Maybe it's patterns who are emotionally available in those partners. Maybe it's people who run hot and cold, taking you on the emotional roller coaster. Maybe it's relationships that start intense and the passionate comes through, but in confusion and pain. After a while, you start asking yourself, is it me? Am I the problem? Why does this keep happening? Why do I keep feeling chemistry with people who end up hurting me? Because I know a lot of people have asked that. So today we're going to be going deeper than just surface level dating advice. We're going to be talking about psychological blueprint that shapes who we are drawn to, why toxic patterns can feel familiar instead of alarming, and how unhealed emotional wounds can disguise as chaos as chemistry. And I'm not a professional expert, I'm not licensed in this, but I like reading on it and learning things and just interpreting it how I read it. The truth is, sometimes we're not attracted to what's healthy, we're attracted to what's familiar, and we don't understand that. And if we don't understand it, we can unknowingly repeat the same story for years. You know how you keep having to learn a lesson because you're not learning what is getting you to that situation. I'm so thirsty. So today we're going to break down why toxic dynamics feel magnetic, the psychology behind repetition in relationships, why how do I want to put this? Why people being volatile can feel like passion, and how to finally break that cycle. So get comfortable, grab your tea, coffee, or whatever it is you need to take. Get your journal. I'm gonna go grab me something to drink, and we are gonna get started. And hopefully you guys can learn something from it. So I'll see you after this. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to Joy Serendipity. If you're new here, definitely subscribe. You won't regret it. I have my drink. This is one of my favorite drinks from Trader Joe's. It's a strawberry. It comes in different flavors. I tend to go toward the strawberry, but it's a strawberry drink. You should give it a try. It's not an energy drink, I promise. I don't drink those. No judgment to those who do. But yeah, let's jump right into this. So, attraction is not always rational. You walk down the street and you see an average person. Oh, they're attractive. But it's not the most rational decision to make. I'm waiting on a text, so if you see me looking down, I'm trying to see if I get a text message. Okay. So one of the biggest myths about relationships is that attraction is purely about preference. We think we choose partners based on things like personality, shared interests, compatibility, values. But psychology shows us something that is so much deeper. A lot of attraction happens at the subconscious level, meaning your nervous system is responding to someone before your logical mind even processes what's happening, which honestly makes sense now that I think about it. Your brain is constantly scanning for things that feel familiar. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Familiar does not always equal healthy. Like, I've been in environments where, oh, this feels very familiar. Hold on, guys. I have an important call coming. So, yeah. Where love was calm and like supportive and emotionally stable, their nervous system learns to associate peace with connection. But if someone grew up around emotionally instability, like a toxic family, inconsistency, or like abandonment from like parents or whoever was taking care of them, their nervous system may associate uncertainty with intimacy. So when they meet someone who triggers the same emotional intensity as what they grew up with, their body interprets that feeling as this is chemistry, when in reality it might be just recognition of like, oh, I recognize this is probably it. recognition of a pattern that they've experienced before, and like it won't necessarily feel safe, but like, you know, since it's familiar, they're gonna go with what it is. I know a lot of people in relationships right now where it mirrors exactly what they dealt with as a child. So someone can meet a perfectly kind, emotionally available partner and feel bored if that's not what they've experienced or they're used to. But they'll meet someone unpredictable and suddenly feel sparks, excitement, intensity, because the nervous system is responding to something it already understands, even if it's unhealthy. So the subconscious relationship blueprint is something I feel like everyone should understand a little bit of. Every person has something psychologists often call relationship blueprint. This blueprint forms early in life. I always talk about on all my platforms how things, sorry, I have to be aware of like things, messages coming in. Okay. You have you experience things in your childhood and it sort of forms the adult you are. Like, obviously you venture off, you start creating your own values and morals, but you still have key things that made you who you are today. So your blueprint forms through experiences with your parents. It forms through experiences with caregivers, early relationships, emotional environments. And the blueprint quietly answers questions like, what does love feel like? What does love look like? What does conflict look like? What role do I play in relationships? For example, some people develop a blueprint that says, I have to earn love. Others develop one that says, people eventually leave. Or, I need to feel close in order to feel something. Other people also feel, I need to chase connection. These beliefs may not be conscious thoughts, they exist beneath the surface, shaping the kinds of dynamics that feel normal. So when someone meets a partner who reinforces that blueprint, the relationship feels emotionally compelling, even if it's unhealthy. For example, someone with abandonment wounds might feel drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable. Why? Because subconsciously, they're trying to resolve an unfinished emotional experience. They're hoping that this time, the person will stay. The affection will be consistent, the love will feel secure, but instead of the same emotional wound gets triggered again. And the cycle continues to repeat, which is why it's important to do the healing, whether through therapy or actually like do the work and sit with understanding why is it that I feel this way? What can I do to prevent myself from repeating this lesson? Because you're going to continue to get hurt and you're always going to question, like, why is this happening to me? I thought I was over the dude. I left my ex for this exact reason, and I'm repeating this like lesson all over again, which is something you don't want to do. You're wasting your time and you really want love, but you just are prolonging it. Like, yeah. Next, I'm going to talk about repetition compulsion. So there's actually a psychological concept that explains this pattern called repetition compulsion. It's the tendency for people to unconsciously recreate emotional situations from their past. Not because they enjoy the pain, but because the mind is trying to resolve something that was never fully processed. Think of it like the brain trying to rewrite a story. If someone experienced emotional rejection early in life, they might be drawn toward partners who replicate that dynamic, because subconsciously they believe, if I can finally make this person love me, then maybe I can heal that original wound, which doesn't happen, trust me. But the problem is that these dynamics rarely lead to healing. Instead, they reinforce the belief that the person already fears, which might be, I'm not enough, love always disappears, people can't be trusted, like the list goes on, that we all don't honestly like say out loud. So every time the pattern repeats, it strengthens that narrative, which is why breaking these cycles requires awareness and not just like willpower. You can't change a pattern you don't recognize. Like, let's be honest. And the awareness is a huge lifesaver when it comes to like changing terrible habits so you can get a better life that you want. So you may be asking yourself, why do toxic relationships feel so intense? Because trust me, we've all had a toxic relationship, and it may have not been the best, but I mean, it was fun. But you may be asking that question. One of the reasons toxic relationships feel so addicted is because they often create something called intermittent reinforcement, which I feel like, I don't know if all schools taught this, but we learned this in like a scientific way. Oh, and then I also learned it when I was in college in like a childhood development class. So that's why it comes up. So this means affection and validation come inconsistently. One day the partner is loving, the next day they're distant. One moment they're attentive, the next morning they withdraw. And the unpredictability creates a powerful emotional response in the brain. Why? Because the brain releases dopamine not only when we receive rewards, which that's something you should look into. It's a fun study to like learn about, because I learned about it. They did it through like rats and stuff. Yeah, look at it. This is the same mechanism behind gambling addiction. The uncertainty keeps people emotionally invested in going to those slot machines. So the relationship becomes a cycle of hope, confusion, temporary reward, temporary is the key word, disappointment, and renewed hope again. And when the relationship finally ends, people often mistake the intensity of that experience for love. But intensity is not the same as intimacy, and I want you to ingrain that in your head. We all have to learn this lesson one way or another. Chaos is not the same as the passion that you're desperately wanting. So sometimes it's simply your nervous system reacting to unpredictability. So a lot of people aren't used to peace, which is, we can't control how our childhoods were. Sorry, I'm looking at this movie too. It's about, yeah. So we can't control how our childhoods were. But yeah, you're going to have to heal the fact that peace feels unfamiliar. One of the most difficult parts of healing those patterns is that healthy relationships can initially feel uncomfortable. Not because something is wrong, but because your nervous system is used to emotional highs and lows. So when someone shows up consistently and communicates clearly and respects your boundary and just gives you everything that you don't even have to ask for, your mind may interpret that calmness as a lack of chemistry. But sometimes what you're actually feeling is emotionally unfamiliarity. Familiarity. I always mess up saying that. You're encouraging a dynamic your nervous system hasn't fully learned yet. And healing often means learning to recognize that peace is not boring. Peace is safe, and it's stable, and it's beautiful, and it allows real intimacy to grow over time instead of exploding into intensity and collapsing. The challenge is retraining your internal compass to recognize safety as attraction. Trust me, in college, because I'll admit it, there was like a couple of guys that wanted to date me, and guess which one I went for? The bad boy. And it's because I had some healing to do. Like, there was this good guy, at least I was nice about it. There was this good guy who wanted to date me, and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to hurt your heart. I don't think I'm like ready to like be in a relationship with someone of you, and I don't want to like break you. If that makes sense. I don't want, you're such a good guy. You deserve a good girl, and I knew I wasn't in the healed place to where I can appreciate a good guy. That's why. But yeah. So let's talk about breaking the cycle. Breaking toxic relationship patterns isn't just about choosing different partners. It's about rewriting the internal script that shapes what feels attractive. The process often includes self-reflection, therapy. I'm in. A lot of people can afford therapy, which is understandable, so you're gonna have to find a way to do that. Or emotional processing. You're gonna set some boundaries, and you're gonna learn to tolerate healthy connection. Because sometimes the most healing decision isn't chasing chemistry. It's asking yourself a different question. Does this relationship feel emotionally safe? You don't ask yourself, is it exciting? Is it dramatic? Is it intoxicating? Ask if that relationship makes you feel safe. Safe enough to be yourself. Safe enough to communicate honestly. Safe enough to grow. Because the real goal isn't just to avoid toxic partners. It's to create a relationship dynamic where your nervous system finally experiences something it might not have known before. You know, you may have not known consistency or respect. You may not even have known like emotional security. So yeah, you need to be asking yourself that. But I could go on and on about these topics. I love reading about it. So make sure you check me out on all my platforms. Get a copy of my book. Follow me on my blog. Yeah, and make sure you're subscribed here. If this video resonated with you, I want you to remember something important though. Recognizing these patterns doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're becoming more aware of how you are, and awareness is the first step towards change. Okay, a lot of people spend years repeating relationship cycles without even understanding why. But once you start seeing the pattern, you gain the power to make different choices. Not perfect choices, but like more conscious. And that's how healing starts. So if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And I would love to know in the comments what helped you start recognizing your patterns, and if you feel comfortable in sharing what is a pattern that you have, because we all have them. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. I do have an influencer event in like 3 hours, so I'm excited for that. So make sure you follow me on my platforms to keep up. I love you guys. Thank you.